by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what MCP is, and you'll be able to add it to an AI automation service like N8N and add it into a workflow. My name is Altus, and I run my own successful AI automation agency, and I have a mentorship program where we use automations exactly like this to make money. So, what are we going to do today? I'm going to give you the most simplest and easiest explanation of MCP. Then we're going to add it into N8N. Yes, a lot of abbreviations, but it's going to be super simple, and we'll build out a web scraper. It's going to be easy, effective with a chatbot that scrapes the internet. I'm going to keep this short and sweet in under a couple of minutes so you can just learn and apply and add it straight away after. So watch to the end, follow along, and let's get into this awesome quick tutorial. Right, this is going to be by far the most simplest understanding of MCP. So you might have seen it, don't quite understand what it is, but how it works at the moment or before or prior to this. When large language modules want to communicate with other applications, things got a bit tricky, and think of it like talking to someone else that doesn't speak your language. So I'll just have, for example, in here, we had someone that wants coffee. If they had to explain to the other person that doesn't speak their language how to make a coffee, it can be really slow and tedious. So they'll have to tell them to get the water in a simple form, and then the person would have to get the water. And then you have to kind of translate to them to what it means to put the water in the kettle and then turn the kettle on and then eventually get to making a coffee. And that's kind of how large language modules like ChatGPT and all of those used to work if you want to integrate it with other applications. You had to get API keys, and things just got a lot harder. Even though you might think it would be easy, it's not, and it can be very tedious. Lots of steps, lots of settings into it to translate LLC, large language modules, understanding into the application that they need to use. And that's kind of where MCP comes in. It's just think of it as the actual translator. So as your AI agent, your large language module can literally just say, put the water in the kettle, turn it on, and make a coffee. Missing an E right there. And then MCP will handle the translation of it and tell this person exactly what to do, how to work it out, and make the coffee. It's literally the simplest and easiest way to think about it. Don't overcomplicate it, don't overthink about it. But MCP is just a new protocol that got developed by Anthropic, which brings you Claude. And it's just a large language models, and any large language modules can be OpenAI, can be Claude. If they want to speak with different applications, you have to use API keys, webhooks. You have to have certain functions in certain ways. And it can be quite tedious if you want to do a lot of things and add a lot of function to things. You have to add a bunch of API keys, add a bunch of settings, and usually when things go wrong or you need something updated on one side, you need to update this and backwards and forwards, and it gets a lot. It gets confusing, and the more steps you have, the more points of failure there is, right? And that MCP just made it really easy, where you have your large language module. Again, it can be all of it. You connect to an MCP server and environment, and that will handle all your requests and give you the report. So I just found this one on the internet, and when we use it, MCPs can be used with anything. I'm going to show you N8N in this example, and in this little example, you can see when you're making a request, your AI agent or your AI tool, and this has got a bunch of Google things to it. All these will have separate integrations, separate steps. So when it comes in here and it wants to send an email, you have to connect to it via API. You have to set the settings up to make sure that the functions, the fields are filled in right to send an email. Or when you want to look up a calendar, when you want to make a booking, it's each going to be separate settings to go in through. Whereas MCP just makes it simple and easy. And I'll show you this example where the information comes in. The AI agent connects to your MCP server, and it gets a list of functions. It says it can make the coffee, it can boil the kettle, it can make an espresso, it can make a latte. And when this person says, hey, I want an espresso, we'll come in here and goes, yep, I can use an espresso tools. And we'll come and make the milk, froth the milk, do everything together to give you a coffee instead of doing different paths through it. And it's literally as easy as that. So don't overcomplicate it. And I'm going to show you now how to get a function like this. And again, this input can be anything. We can do webhooks, we can do chat modules, we can do inquiries where it's going to be, for example, in here, an Airtable lookup, or it might be some functions to do with a sheet, Google Sheet, or email services. There's lots, and I'll show you all the different options you actually get. But essentially, you just need two tools in here, and one is listing the tools and the functions, and once it learns it, it has learned it because it's got memory, so it knows. And then you can use all of that by itself. An example we're going to go through is a web scraper. It's really cool. So you can put a website in and you can scrape the website, and all it needs to know is it's got one tool to scrape the website. It doesn't need to know, go crawl the website, get the URL, convert the URL to normal text, and then figure things out. Just one tools like this, and this is short and easy it's going to look. So let's go for the next step. We're going to set up N8N. There's going to be a quick, fast little tutorial about how to enable it and how to get this done. So let's look at that next. Okay, so the problem is that if you are accessing N8N for their official website, that you cannot install or update any of the community nodes. So you need to be hosting N8N yourself, and lots of videos. I'll link my own video to the top here about how to do it. But I found this awesome new hosting platform, and I'll just quickly show it to you because it's not what it's about, but it's called RepoCloud.io, and the pricing is really, really good. You'll just need a module like this, $6 a month, and you can run N8N, and it's just literally a one button click all. And in here, we just type in N8N, and it will launch and run its own N8N platform for you. So really good and easy. So once we have that sorted up and installed, if you're not running it yourself, you should. You're just gonna Google N8N MCP community. Spelled that wrong. Had that one in there, and we're just gonna copy this actual name in the top. That one in there. Copy that, and we're gonna come over here, and you're just gonna hit install and add that one in there. Right? That's the first step you need to do. Second step we need to do is come over to Firecrawl. Now, what I'm going to show you is a module on how to crawl websites. So this is going to be a short module, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be basic, but all this is going to allow us to do is scrape and crawl any website. So without much configuration, anything to it, it's going to be easily done. But what I need you to do is come into Firecrawl. You're going to register for a free account. And once you're registered, you'll be able to get your API. So let me just quickly sign up with this. So just give me a second. Let me sign up. So once you sign up, you're going to come down to the side here, API keys, and you're going to create a new API key for yourself. Keep that safe or just leave the screen open. Now we're kind of half set and ready there. So we'll build a module out like this ourselves, and I'll show you how that works from the start. So let's go start a new N8N server for you. So all this is going to do is going to allow us to start a chat, add it to the voice AI agent, and the voice AI agent is going to be able to do stuff with the information. And this you can use in this webhook, so you can add it to other AI agents. I'll show you all the MCP servers there is. It's going to be a really fun and easy thing to do. But when it comes to N8N, we're going to create a new workflow. And if you haven't done N8N before, you can test everything with the web chat module, which you can also create a web AI chatbot from. So really easy. We're going to go by web chatbot. Chat message. Trigger is chat. and just click down in the background in here, and this is what it will look like. Next, we're going to send our information to an AI agent, which just means it's an AI assistant that we're going to create a large language model to. We are going to give it a memory of such, and we're going to add the MCP tools to it. So, all AI agents needs a large language module. We're going to come in here and, of course, open AI, ChatGPT, hit the add button. Now, if you come in here, it might be blank. Here's going to hit the edit button. Find your API key. If you don't have an API key, it is just platform at openai.com, and you add somebody to your account. You're going to come in here, and let me just see how much billing I have left while I'm at it. $13. Hardly use any API keys. Grab one, add it in here. Now, the model I want to use is GPT-4 Mini. It's good enough. We need the basics. All right, so we need a cheap basic module. So just add that in there. Don't need anything else. It's just going to show and read like this, but it'll initialize it, connect it. It's fine. Next, we're going to do is just give it some memory. And it's just going to be simple memory. Hit that in there. And that's what your AI agent should look like. All right, this is going to be a basic AI chat. So if we go open chat, it's going to hit hello. It's going to send it there. Open AI. Hello, how can I help you today? It doesn't have any tools, so we need to figure out what to do in here. So I will come in here and now start adding the MCP bits. So the best way to think of it is all MCP tools, doesn't matter which ones it are, is going to have two parts to it. You need to know all the tools that it can use. So if we think back to a basic example of the calendar, for example, a calendar booking system, what can you do with a calendar? You can book, you can check availabilities, you can reschedule. So we need to know all sorts of tools that we can do with it. And likewise with Firecrawl, it has a bunch of functions. So it can do a lot of other things, crawling and scraping websites. It's got a bunch of functions to go through. So yeah, it can do a lot of things. So if you come have a look and you go through their website, you'll see everything that it can do. But we need to list the tools first. So what we're going to do in here is we're just going to go add MCP. Right? You won't have this if you don't install the community module. So MCP is just going to use this tool set automatically, and we're going to list our tools. Now, you will have a blank account like this, and I'm going to show you how to connect to the Firecrawl MCP server. So if someone was nice enough to build out a server like this, so you don't have to go through all the manual connections and tools and all the schemas about how to extract data and scrape data through this. So how to do is you're going to come back, you're going to look up MCP server list. I'm going to come in here and you'll see just how many there are. And the best part is this keeps getting updated. So model context protocol servers, and you have a bunch in here. All right. Brave Search, one I use, gives your chatbot or whatever action you make, not just chatbots, any action, access to the internet. All right. So lots of ones in here. We'll go through some ones you'll use all the time. So Brave Search is good to use. And then your Google Maps and Google Drive works really well in here. The PostgreSQL works really well as well. If you want, instead of having to list all the options that you can do with a SQL database, to check, the search, the parameters, the APIs, this will sort it out for you. So really good and powerful one in here. Google Maps and Google Drive really good as well, because there's actually a lot of things you can do with Google Drive files once you have a file, not just downloading it, but reading it, sending it forward to getting IDs, getting sizes, manipulation comes really big in here. Slack is in there if you're still using Slack. Third party servers, there is really a lot in here. And as you can see, it's just going to keep on growing in here. All right. So no doubt any of the tools and options have things in there for it. So it's going to keep scrolling down. Community servers in here. So obviously the air table, again, really good. Then look at the Apple Calendar. If you're probably going to need to connect that. AWS is in there. So what we're going to look for is interesting DeepSeek ones, is we're just going to look for Fire. And you'll see Firecrawl in here. So we need to get a couple of settings about how we connect to it. Now, these aren't N8N servers. These are MCP servers. So we're going to hit the Firecrawl button. We're going to scroll down, and the best way to connect to it is following the npx command, right? So this is an actual Linux Unix command about how to connect to a server. And to connect to a server, you're going to use npx-y Firecrawl MCP server and your API key. So where do we find that? Where do we fill this in? So you'll close that one. Your API key is going to be under here. So you're going to grab that. Then we're going to come to new workflows, have this open already. So we're going to create a new contact. So make sure we call it something regarding MCP Firecrawl. Okay. And then the command is just going to be in here, npx. The argument is going to run. There's going to be this, and I'll just not straight that, but we'll copy it. It's going to delete that without that. All right. So dash y Firecrawl. All right. And now environmental conditions is going to be Firecrawl API key, and this needs to be an equal. An equal. Then you just need to type in your API key that you got and paste it in here. Okay, so make sure all of this needs to be right capitalized, right underscore, have this equal in there, no spaces in the long key you have down here, and make sure it shows fixed. You won't be able to see it at the moment because it's kind of encrypted and hidden, but that is how you connect into it. Save this as the MPC client. And once you have that, we'll be able to connect to it twice because we'll need it twice. So I obviously have this in here. So we're going to come in here. I'll use set to automatically. So our first thing we're going to do is we're going to say what tools are available. And then because our little agent has memory, it's going to remember what tools are available using the Firecrawl server. So we're talking about crawling websites. All right. So we have that in there. We have this in here. It just complains a little bit about that. But when we come look down the bottom here, I'm going to make sure I move my face a little bit down. I'm going to say, what tools do you have available? Oh, terrible whisper. It's going to come through here. It's going to connect to the server. And the server is going to respond and say, hey, I have tools available. My first tool name is called Firecrawl Scrape. When you run this tool, it's going to scrape a singular website. However, you need to give it some arguments, the URL, the format, and all of these need to be put exactly into the actual permission it was. So if you would have to build this all out manually, you would have had to make an HTTP request, then add your API key as an authentication in it, then write out the Firecrawl to it, and then write this out in a JSON format by mapping data. So you don't have to do this. We're cutting this straight off. All right. And again, if you want to do one and then do the other one and then do the other one, you'll have to keep doing it for different things. But we don't have to have that. All right. So obviously, it's chucked all this through in here. it's given it back to your AI agent, it's loaded it into the memory, and it's given you kind of a simplified version of what all the tools are available. So really, you have a listing tool, and it lists all the tools. Now we're gonna see how we can connect and use these tools in here. So for that, we're gonna add another MCP module, CP. But for this one, we are gonna add execute tools. So we have our information of our tools. We just now need to know how to execute it. Now, this is where we need to pause and have a look at this and write down the little tool name in here just for your reference at the very least. But what's this going to be called? All right, how are we going to call this? So it's going to be called the tool name. So think hard about this. This is called the tool name. So when we want to action it, we need to give it the actual name, and then we need to provide the schema. So to call this, we need to tell the AI to provide the data. And this is what this comes in. So you go open bracket, sorry, open bracket, $, and it's coming from the AI. So you can just type that for now, and you'll see it will be read. So what we need to do is give it a name. It's going to be the tool name. Okay, so that just means it's going to map the tool to here. And what is this called? Okay, why are we calling it tool name? And it's going to be a bit almost similar to the description. It says call this tool whenever you need to fire crawl, scrape tool names. All right, and all the curly brackets shut. So that just means it's gonna be smart enough to just add that tool in there. That's what makes MCP so good. So it's gonna get that tool name out from the list. So very technical part in here. Just copy and paste that. Make sure it stays gray, and then for the schema, we're not gonna worry. We're just gonna add here, and AI is gonna define all of that. So long way. What does all this mean? I'm going to tell it to scrape a website. It's going to come through, and it's going to know from our previous part in here that if I want to scrape a website, that I need to use the Firecrawl scrape tool, because that kind of fits in with the description. So I'm going to use the Firecrawl scrape tool, and I'm going to send the server my URL to scrape. That's all that comes in here. It's going to be smart enough to send the correct name, the tool name, and then fill in the parameters by itself. Right, very complicated, long story to say about how to go, but that's the easiest way to kind of explain to you why it's doing it. So I've got this website in here. Now let's come through here, just down the bottom here. Tell me what this website is about. So whereas watch it in here, it's going to come through here. It's going to know from the memory, because it loaded the memory, what tool to use. Then it's going to send it to our actual scraper in this module. In the input is your helpful assistant, and see how it calls the tool name, and the URL comes through, and it keeps sending the data back to the server in a proper way. So load from memory. Let's scroll Superior Taekwondo, and it finds all the text from there, sends it to your AI agent, figures what's about, and then gives you a summary. The website Superior Taekwondo is one of, it tells you what the website's about. I need to go through all of it. Now, this is really good just about for anything. So let's say blog post about deep seek AI. All right, the real platform, but a winter. That's a bit of an ugly URL. I'm not going to use that one. Let's find a nice blog post. And then let's say summarize the first paragraph in this website and see if it can actually find this. So, a bit more of a complex tool. It's going to have to think a bit more, and it will probably fall out the box if not. But if I ask it to summarize the first, let's just say to summarize the entire um, website. So, come in here. Can you website blog post? I knew I had that wrong. All right, can you? Does this an actual website in here? Hold on, let me just change the website back. It looks quite long. No, that's right. Story break. So come back in here. Can you? Oh, come on, Grammarly, and hit the send in here. So it's gonna go through. It's gonna try crawl that website and unrecognized key. So it doesn't. It fails that time. Then it tries again. And here's a poor response. You must use the final JSON format. So sometimes it falls in because it can't connect to those websites. So let's just try one more. In fact, we'll say, what is this website about? Thinking saying summarize a website is not a very good command to say. Can you summarize this blog post? All right. That's still encountering a problem. So, yep, some websites just does not work. Okay, so um, let's see if this one works. And we're gonna come back here. Let me just refresh this. Scrape this website and give me a summary. All right, it's gonna go through, read the tool, and is it gonna work this time? No, it didn't find the tool, so it should have done the tool first. So let's go through for it. Firecrawl was not right. It just took a guess. Then I told it, well, actually, you need to use Firecrawl. Now it's going to send it back there and try again. So OpenAI tool name should be Firecrawl. Send it out correctly, please. So just a good way of actually confusing it from the start. Nice. So it's gone through, got it, and it scraped this website. This article titled DeepSeek Impact is the future of AI. DeepSeek Impact, the future of AI. And it's gone through and summarize it. Okay, so that's the idea of MCP. Made really short, made really simple. It has a bunch of options in here just to make it out easier for you. If you had to build this out manually, you had to really go through the schemas and through the tools and understand what all these says, how it means, and send it through to the Firecrawl server. But this just made it so much easier. So I really hope you like this training and hope this makes sense. You know, I have an awesome school community that we do all of this for. Everyone helps, everyone provides some tools and data like this, and um, it's really good, especially if you want to learn voice AI. And I'll just quickly show you in here and come through in here, and we'll go to the classroom. And you'll see it has a total lot of functions in here, and classroom studies in here, 5-day challenges, high-level tutorials, Vampy system, retail system, 11 Lab, Synflow, Make.com, N8N, cold email system, and then of course you get unlimited high level to use. You got a massive SaaS snapshot, email boxes, SMS boxes, so lots of things to add. I'll leave the description below, but that's N8N using MCP. Super beneficial. Lots of N8N servers right in here to use and play with. Really fantastic protocol, brand new. Hope you like it. Hope you enjoy it. Join my school community, and I'll see you there. We'll talk later.